As fighting with Iran moves into its second week, we have two reports. Robert Costa will offer some perspective on Iran's complicated history in a moment. But first, David Martin will look at just how we got here.
A drone strike in Baghdad during President Trump's first term set him on a collision course with Iran.
I think it probably started with Soleimani.
Qasem Soleimani, the leader of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards, second in stature only to the Ayatollah.
Right there would probably be the starting point.
At the time, killing Soleimani was the most devastating blow America had ever struck against Iran.
He was an indispensable person for Iran.
Retired General and CBS News contributor Frank McKenzie commanded the operation.
A person they had counted on for many years to give advice on actions against Americans was no longer able to do that. It marked a turning point that only has become evident over time.
When Donald Trump returned for a second term, he picked up where he left off, ordering the first ever American attack on Iranian territory, joining an Israeli air campaign against Tehran's nuclear program by dropping bunker buster bombs.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu wanted to strike again to eliminate the rest of Iran's nuclear program, along with its stockpiles of ballistic missiles. When he met with President Trump just before New Year's, he looked and sounded like a man getting everything he asked for.
We've never had a friend like President Trump in the White House. It's not even close.
And speaking of Iran, I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that buildup.
He ordered his own buildup.
The U.S. now has more military air power in the Middle East than at any time since the 2003 invasion of Iraq.
All while President Trump's envoys were negotiating with the Iranians. What would Iran have had to do to avoid war?
Iran would have had to actually negotiate in good faith, put concessions on the table, which they were not going to do. They're of the opinion that if they can negotiate, then they can avoid being struck.
But they could not avoid being struck by Israel. And according to Secretary of State Rubio, the U.S. decided it couldn't wait any longer.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties.
The tactics Iranians had relied on since the days of Soleimani turned out to be based on a false premise.
They accepted that they'd be able to spin it out in time until it became impossible for us to keep that force structure in the region.
Rope-a-dope.
They are masters of it, and they played a number of presidents brilliantly. They just didn't play this one well.